no, this will be different. This is the one that will finally break through. Chris Murphy says they're gonna work hard at a compromise for the next 10 days. 10 days when 10 days, how many shootings are gonna happen during those 10 days? And as Farron rightly points out, the most likely outcome is that long before we hit those 10 days, everyone will have been moved on. But perhaps in the next few days, we will get to make a very difficult decision, which is another terrible mass shooting will happen. And then we'll get to decide, so are we supposed to ignore that one to stay focused on the one that already happened? Or do we move on and then go to that and then forget the one that just happened? I mean, we just went through that with Uvalde and Buffalo. It is almost certain in America that we will have to make that same sort of decision. In any event, they're gonna be working on a compromise. What might be in that compromise? Well, Senator Richard Blumenthal, he's been helping lead bipartisan talks around gun reform with Chris Murphy. He's indicated that between 6 to 12 Republicans have shown serious interest on red flag legislation, which this sort of legislation already exists in some states. It enables family members or law enforcement to file petitions around the threat an individual poses. So for instance, if a guy had been committing acts of domestic abuse for months and months and months, that is a great predictor for him eventually murdering his partner. But unfortunately, many Republicans think, how dare you stop a guy like that from owning a gun? And so they say, what was it, 6 to 12 Republicans, which by the way, that is a range significant enough that it either does or doesn't get you past the filibuster there, Farron. The idea that they're gonna have, what, 10 more days of the NRA putting pressure on them, telling them like, if you support red flag legislation, if you try to stop violent pre-murderers from getting guns, we're gonna primary you. And so we're supposed to hope that that's gonna work. What do you think?
To answer your first question there, 10 days, how many more mass shootings are we gonna have in there? Statistically, the answer to that question would be 13. Based on the numbers that we have so far this year, we're averaging 10 per week. So about 13 is how many we can expect in the country in those 10 days while they're sitting there. Again, they're gonna be having these talks, but this is their recess. What are they doing in their recess here? They're having their fundraisers, right? They've got elections coming up. They've got hands to go shake. They're not worried about these real world issues. They're gonna act like they are, don't get me wrong. We're gonna hear some strong speeches. We're gonna hear things that make us feel good. But is anything gonna happen from this? And more importantly, who are these 6 to 12 Republicans, right? I want to know who they are. I don't want to hear about these hypothetical, maybe these people will, maybe Susan Collins will, shake her fist at guns and solve the problem and express her disappointment in them. I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of hearing that maybe these Republicans are gonna come around. They didn't come around on Build Back Better. They didn't come around on, helping American people in times of crisis. I don't think they're gonna come around this time. They didn't come around after Sandy Hook. They didn't come around after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas or the Pulse nightclub or Virginia Tech or any of it. So what makes us think they're gonna come around suddenly this time? Have we finally hit the threshold of enough dead kids? Or do we have to have a few more added to that list before Republicans come around to it?
We have to have an endless amount. I think there is no amount. They can say that it's different. Even Manchin says this feels different right now. Not different enough, by the way, for him to change on the filibuster, obviously. Look, if we were supposed to believe that the sheer horror of this particular attack is the thing that would get through, which by the way, we've already been through so many that didn't do it, then it wouldn't be, this is a singular moment, thus let's wait close to 2 weeks before having a vote. They should have put legislation out that night. And if the Republicans wanted to filibuster it, they should have made them actually filibuster it. That's what they should have done. If it was about capitalizing on people's horror, then they could have done that. Not 10 days of maybe we can get Susan Collins to do the right thing. And maybe we'll be wrong. I'm frequently wrong about politics. I am happy to be wrong sometimes when it comes to politics, but it isn't feeling like it to me. And they can say, they're gonna vote on the background checks, which we've known for years and years and years. Literally everyone in America thinks that we should have these background checks. But I don't know. I want to remind people of one more thing, and we'll get final thoughts from Farron. This is, I forget exactly which Oh, this was after the Stoneman Douglas shooting. So Trump at that point, President Trump, had said, you have a case right now where somebody can buy a handgun at 21, but you can buy the kind of weapon used in the school shooting at 18. And so he was considering raising the age federally for you to be able to buy these sorts of guns, not banning them or anything, but just raising them. And then he got pushback from the gun lobby and he didn't do it. But like, that was back in 2018. How many shootings wouldn't have happened or would have happened with far less deadly weapons? And they always say, well, the law doesn't matter. Nobody abides by the law. But I've seen compilations of all of the people who waited until their 18th birthday to buy one of these guns. In this case, he waited for his 18th birthday. Like if he could have just gotten it a month before, he would have. Instead, he abided by the law. We could simply raise that age. It could be 19, 20, 21. As people point out, people's brains, especially young men's brains, are still developing at this point. How many lives could have been saved if Donald Trump hadn't immediately retreated from this reasonable position thanks to the gun lobby's pushback?
You know, it is remarkable, and with the bump stock ban as well, you know, lots of pushback there that Donald Trump had tried to do, and that was the only thing, by the way, I think throughout that entire administration, I actually gave him credit for, like, hey, that's not a bad thing, and then of course, like, doesn't end up happening. But what we have to deal with right now is the reality of the fact that we've got all these people in Congress. They're going to use this as a campaign issue. You know, if they wanted to do something like you said, they could have had legislation that night. When the Supreme Court justices were having people outside of their homes disrupting their sleep, we had legislation immediately. So we know they're able to do that. Okay, there's no hold up on the time frame. They don't have to sit there and type it out and make copies down at FedEx. They can get this done if they wanted to. They're actively making the choice that we would rather go have our Memorial Day barbecues. I've got, you know, the hot dogs are ready to go on the grill, guys. We got to get the hell out of here. And that's what they did. That's what they've done. They're having fun while other people are having funerals because they won't do anything.
100%. Yeah, everything. It feels different this time. No, Manchin, it doesn't. It feels very, very similar to the other times. That's what it feels like.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.